Welcome to Seize the Mains by Malhotra's IS Academy. I'm Surbhi Sardana and this is Season 3 of our Daily Answer Writing Initiative. If you go to our website rajisacademy.com, you will see this Mains Answer Writing tab and you will see all the questions and model answers that we have discussed till now on Seize the Mains initiative. Every day we bring up one question from current affairs which has relevance for your civil services mains examination. We teach you how to frame a model answer or how to form a good answer to it and how to approach better with your answer writing practice, how to address mains part of your preparation more effectively. What you can do is not just listen to this video or see the model answer on our website. What you can do is post your answers for evaluation on our website under the comment section under each and every question that is available. If you click on any of these questions, you will see this comment section available and you can post your answers in the form of pictures or you can also type your answers there. So the topic for today in Seize the Mains is groundwater management. See, groundwater has been in news for quite a while now. We have a water policy also. There is Central Groundwater Management Authority that was constituted under Environment Protection Act of 1986 that looks after groundwater levels in the country, management of groundwater levels. But the catch here is that water is a state subject and any kind of regulation that has to come with respect to water management or groundwater management has to come from the respective state governments. So a question has been framed. The question is very simple, trust me on that. Examine the problem of groundwater pollution and depletion in India, the first part of the question. Suggest some effective measures in this regard. Answer in 250 words. So basically in the first part of the question you have to examine the problem of groundwater pollution and depletion. So not just depletion of groundwater but also the associated pollution of groundwater that comes with its depletion and with pollution causing agents. So that problem, that issue has to be examined. That means you have to talk in detail about the situation. You have to give some data, some statistics, some facts which actually lead to depletion of groundwater and why this problem is increasing with time. Why are we not able to control it? All the sides of the situation, all the facts associated would have to be enumerated. In this part, you can take, you can write in form of points if you are very sure about the division of your points. If you are not sure about the division of your points and if you feel that having separate point for each of the fact that you want to give would not be, a good approach, then take the approach of a body paragraph, write in paragraph format. Suggest some effective measures in this regard. So this is our favorite part in Seize the Mains. We like to suggest a lot of solutions and also we would learn how to suggest solutions in a formal manner. So let's begin. Since groundwater pollution and depletion has been talked about, let's give an introduction. Let's talk about the status of groundwater exploitation in India and what is the regulation with regards to it. Let's give that information to the examiner in the introduction itself and let's move ahead from there. So yes, India is home to 17% of the world's population but only holds 4% of the world's freshwater resources. This is something that sets a stage for exploitation of water. That why is water being exploited? Because we have a lot of population but very less freshwater resources in the country. India is the world's largest user of groundwater, that is what data suggests, where groundwater contributes to more than 60% of the country's irrigation resources. More than 60% of a country's irrigation resources for a country like India, which depends primarily on agriculture, is a lot. So this over extraction of groundwater is non-renewable. Now, since you've mentioned the point non-renewable, from here will follow the point of pollution also. Since recharge rates are less than extraction rates and replenishing this resource can take thousands of years. So here our introduction for the groundwater depletion ends and from now onwards, since you've talked about non-renewable exploitation, so from here the pollution part will begin. That not only this, according to CGB, Central Groundwater Board, India's groundwater is highly polluted. This is because as many as 276 districts have high concentrations of fluoride, which can lead to cancer in some cases. Nitrates above acceptable levels are found in almost 387 districts, and arsenic in high quantities is present in 86 districts. See, this is a data that we picked up officially from an official website. What you can do is, obviously you will not be able to remember all these districts, but you can definitely remember that according to some data of Central Groundwater Board, and I'm sure you can remember at least 3 pollutants of groundwater, which is fluoride, nitrates and arsenic. So you can refer that around 500 districts in the country, out of a total districts, they are affected by these 3 pollutants, almost 500 districts. So yes, that sums up your introduction. You have given a brief overview about what the problem is, what the how it is, what is the level of the problem in the country. Now in the body paragraph 1, we need to examine the situation. Here you will talk about reasons that lead to exploitation of groundwater and hence its depletion. You would also talk about reasons that cause pollution of groundwater and why recharge is not happening. So yes, this appears to be a lot of text, but obviously when you have to write in 250 words, you can sum it up in just a few points. Here it provides the exact information starting from Green Revolution, where exploitation or over exploitation of groundwater was pushed so as to establish independence in terms of production of food grains. So the production centric intensive agriculture brought about by India's Green Revolution in 1960s helped India achieve food sufficiency by 1970s, but it has created a crisis of depletion of groundwater. So here you've talked about Green Revolution plus agriculture, which is water intensive and it is fed by overuse of groundwater. Now moving from here, you will support why even after the end of Green Revolution, still groundwater is an overexploited resource. This is because several states affected by depletion of groundwater provide free or heavily subsidized electricity for pumping groundwater for irrigated agriculture, which further enables exploitation and depletion of scarce groundwater resources. So this is where the problem started. Now it has continued because there is free power available. Also, the problem of MSP. MSP is given for wheat and rice, which are highly water intensive crops, especially when we talk about rice or paddy. It requires a lot of rice, it requires a lot of water, pardon me for that. Now, these crops are grown in areas where there is not where there are no heavy rains, heavy monsoon is not there, or monsoon's time is very short, period of monsoon is very short. Hence these states, since they can afford electricity, the governments can provide subsidized electricity. These states, for availing the benefits of MSP, they rely heavily on groundwater exploitation. The minimum support price for wheat and rice creates highly skewed incentive structure in favor of wheat and paddy, which are water intensive crops and depend heavily on groundwater for their growth. This makes groundwater a heavenly source for their farming. Rising population and urbanization, obviously your rivers or ponds, they cannot feed the population when it comes to satisfying them with water. So obviously groundwater has to be resorted to, and since the population is rising, there is a stress on groundwater resources. Due to urbanization also, new industries coming up, new settlements coming up, high stress on groundwater resources. They have increased demand for water for domestic and industrial needs both. So not just the industry, your domestic needs are also very high. Climate change, the next point is about climate change. Sinking water table for the groundwater levels also, the water levels are going down. Droughts, flash floods and disrupted monsoon events are recent examples of climate change events that are placing pressure on India's groundwater resources. See, till here what you can do is you can categorize these many points separately, start with Green Revolution, then start with MSP regime and agriculture, and then move on to talk about climate change. You can have that as the third point in the examine part, but since it is examine, I would recommend that you write short body paragraphs, because whenever analysis is asked, the examiner expects you to write in a flowy language. So yes, points can also be resorted to, and whatever you feel comfortable with, whichever approach you feel comfortable with. Next one is wells, ponds and tanks are drying up as groundwater resources come under increasing pressure due to over-reliance and unsustainable consumption. So that is something that can become the fourth point, because drying up, and due to climate change, more and more drying up is happening. This has escalated the water crisis. The government of India regulates groundwater exploitation. This is the final one, and it is the legal part here. That government of India regulates groundwater exploitation in water stressed states only through notification of highly exploited blocks. However, only about 14% of the overexploited blocks in the country are currently notified. So see, since it is a water is a state subject, so that notification that comes from the government is either slow, or actual or effectual measures are not happening at the ground level. Next one is, you have to examine with regards to pollution also. See, there can be chances that you would be asked to examine two problems associated with a single resource. If you cannot find points which can fit into both the problems, for example, here we talked about agriculture. So green revolution could not have led to pollution of groundwater. That pollution could have been caused due to entirely different reasons. So it is not necessary that you have to add a common point for both the problems. You can very well talk about exploitation or depletion in the first part of your passage, and in the second part talk about pollution. In fact, that gives a very clean approach to your answer. So discharge of toxic elements from industries and landfills and diffuse sources of pollution like fertilizers and pesticides over the years has resulted in high levels of contamination of groundwater, with the level of nitrates increasing permissible limits of up to more than 50% in many districts of India. So again, some data. Obviously, pollution, overpopulation, that will that is adding a stress on this resource, that will be a reason. But again, you have given that already above. So here talk about just specific reasons which have caused pollution. All the discharge from landfills, ineffective management of waste resources which keep on lying down on certain areas for like decades. Then you have toxic elements from industries which directly land into water bodies, or even on land they are absorbed by land and hence fall into groundwater or nearby water resources. Apart from nitrate contamination, here you're examining the problem with regards to pollutants also. Apart from nitrate contamination, the presence of fluoride, iron, arsenic and heavy metals has also touched worrying levels. This can lead to certain diseases. Mentioning diseases is important because you cannot just be talking about a problem without its implications. So here in the first part we talked about depletion and how it is leading to water stress. We have again and again talked about this has escalated the water crisis, it is leading to water stress. Here pollution of groundwater, and then when that groundwater gets used by people, that leads to certain diseases. Then in the body paragraph 2, as the demand of the question is, you have to talk about measures. What can be the solutions in fighting the problem of pollution and depletion of groundwater resources. Now in measures, you don't have to talk about both the solutions separately. If industries are exploiting or using this resource in a well coordinated way, or in a way that does not lead to over exploitation of this resource, then definitely they will focus on the polluting aspect also and the usage aspect also. So you can have there are two problems in this question: depletion and pollution. Depletion and pollution are both the problems. So since both the problems can have similar solutions, we will have just one part to this body paragraph 2. So here just use one line to mention that water is a state subject, but still coordinated effects on all levels of government are required to fight this problem. Now this will serve as your linkage point. Also here you are able to give one more fact to the examiner, you are able to flaunt one more fact here, not burdening him with a lot of facts, but yes, you are able to talk about it, and this will embellish your answer, this will strengthen your answer. So make sure that this line is not very long. You might irritate the examiner in some circumstances. So just give the data which is required, give only the facts and the content which is required. The first one is obviously plant more and more trees, creation of green corridors, mapping of channels for potential recharge zones to store flood water, artificial groundwater recharge structures in urban areas where groundwater is 5-6 meters below the surface will subsequently contribute to reducing groundwater depletion. So that is something, increasing the greenery, having green corridors, having more and more trees will lead to more replenishment of groundwater. Second one is restoration of ponds, lakes and other traditional water resource structures should be an integral part of the development projects of urban and rural areas, and it will substantially develop groundwater potential. See, a few months back, Down to Earth magazine, which we follow for our civil services journey, our civil services preparation, they came out with a separate issue on how, you know, if you conserve or replenish the bowdies of Delhi, New Delhi, you know, which is highly water stressed, and it receives water from other sources here and there, and water pollution is a very big issue in Delhi. If you just keep on recharging the traditional bowdies that are available, or the traditional water harvesting structures that are available in Delhi, it could solve the problem of water crisis and water pollution to a great extent. So, you know, whenever you refer to these magazines, whenever you read these magazines for your preparation, don't just focus on the prelims part of these magazines. Probably even the title of the magazines before you sit for your mains, even the titles of such magazines which have appeared for past 2 years at least, the titles can serve as your examples in your mains answers, and these 1 line or 4 word examples will definitely help you get a lot of marks in mains as compared to other aspirants. Then you have the dual sewage system for grey water and black water, and promoting reuse of recycled water in agriculture and horticulture. So that is something you know, that will help fight you against groundwater pollution. The fourth one here is industry should also be encouraged to increase water use efficiency, effluent treatment. Some water should be treated before it is released into water bodies, and zero liquid discharge. It should be converted into some other form, whether in the form of a gel or a solid. All pollutants should be converted into that form. The fifth one is agriculture. See, agriculture has been discussed as a problem in the first 2 points of our body paragraph 1 in the examined part of this question. So, for agriculture, you definitely have to come out with the solution that agriculture alone consumes more than 80% of groundwater in the Ganga basin. That is with respect to the Ganga basin. Water efficient irrigation systems like drip irrigation, sprinkler irrigation should be made mandatory. Also, balanced farming of water extensive crops. Yes, wheat and rice, due to MSP, they are being promoted by the government also, they are being grown on large level by the farmers also. But use of treated wastewater for irrigation, that should be adopted. On the second hand, on the first hand, there should be a balance between, for example, rice and wheat, and millets on the other hand, which require lesser water. So that can be resorted to. Then you have sustainable groundwater management, including initiating suitable actions for compulsory rainwater harvesting, where, you know, rainwater can be harvested in certain areas. Permanent structures should be built. This is happening in many areas in the northeast already, and you know, it can be resorted to in different parts of the country, and this initiative has to be taken by state governments. Just like, you know, you have come up with this establishment of solar panels on many government buildings, and you know, there are many organizations which actually have a positive electricity bill that the government has to pay them for the electricity they have produced using their solar panels. Similar kind of initiative can be started for rainwater harvesting also. The problem there is that the water is state subject, and making something like that compulsory comes with a lot of infrastructural cost for the future buildings or for the buildings which are already there for brownfield areas. So, you know, that is something that has to be gradually brought in, because rainwater has to be harvested at any cost. A participatory groundwater management approach should be followed to empower communities in defined aquifer area by providing governance rights, community awareness, capacity development, and knowledge and motivation for social regulation of groundwater. Jal Shakti Abhiyan, or you know, many community based efforts to restore old aquifers and, you know, to harvest rainwater or to promote water efficiency, which have been many initiatives have been run by various organizations in Rajasthan. Many traditional rivers have been restored with the help of these initiatives. So definitely talk about them. Talk about the efforts of Tarun Bharat Sangh whenever there is a question that you see in your mains with regards to water conservation, groundwater recharge or water conservation. Talk about the efforts of Tarun Bharat Sangh. They have worked extensively in parts of Rajasthan, and they have restored the traditional rivers also. So yes, this is your content for body paragraph 2. In the conclusion, add some current affairs, add some creativity. See, in the 2022 assessment of Ministry of Water Resources, groundwater extraction has gone down. So that is a fact. Groundwater extraction is the lowest since 2004. So that is something that should be appreciated, thanks to the efforts of government, especially the Ministry of Jal Shakti. And This indicates that there is better water management happening, yes. However, the report called the National Compilation on Dynamic Groundwater Resources of India also says that the improvement as compared to 2004 levels is only marginal. So, a lot of improvement has not been seen, though there is improvement. So, yes, there is a motivation that lies here for a country like India, which is already water stressed. Talk about National Water Policy 2012, which is indicative for different state governments to form their own water policies and release their own water acts. So, National Water Policy 2012 is already in place and advocates conservation, promotion and protection of water, and highlights the need for augmenting the availability of water through rainwater harvesting, direct use of rainfall and other management measures. So, basically what you are talking about is that this policy or the provisions of this policy can be resorted to, and they can serve as the long-term vision in fighting groundwater pollution and depletion. Its provisions can be appropriately utilized when framing the water legislations by the states and union territories governments of both these states and union territories. So yes, this is your full answer for the day. Visit our website rajayesacademy.com, the link to which is in the description below. Click on the link in the description. It will take you to the model answer for this question. After reading the model answer, try to frame your own answer and post it on our website as soon as you can, so that our team can evaluate it and respond back to you with their feedback as early as possible. Stay tuned to the channel, and I'll see you with another discussion on Seize the Mains tomorrow at 9 p.m.